magic. Dazzling displays of trickery and deception.
This is the world of illusion, and I don't profess to be able to perform real miracles, but everything I do is accomplished with different elements of theater. Showmanship, lighting, music, to create the illusion that magic is really happening.
A magician is an entertainer. He's a character actor. He plays the part of a wizard, someone who can really do magic, that is, control nature by means of spells and incantations. But the magician is only an entertainer.
Then why do millions believe that some possess real magical powers? Like psychics, who claim to be able to predict the future, communicate with the dead, move objects, and even bend metal, all with the powers of their mind.
The so-called psychics are people who claim that they have genuine divine powers, or paranormal powers, if you will. They say that what they're doing is the real thing. The magician is under no such self-delusion.
James Randi has always been a skeptic. He's not convinced by the psychics because he can achieve the same effect by using a magician's deft hand.
I'll give you a small demonstration here of what I call trickery. Now, a spoon like this, a nail like this, is galvanized, as you can see from the sort of a silvery appearance of it. And yet, just by shaking it gently like that, it appears to go, oh my goodness, look at that, appears to go through a bending procedure. And indeed, that's what it appears to have done. I find that impossible to believe, and just as impossible to explain.
Randi is a master of deception, conjuring, and illusion. This intimate knowledge of magic allows him to see through any trickery that most people cannot detect. Randi knows that the best way to magically bend metal is if the metal is already bent. But Andrew Harder can move a pencil without touching it. Is this evidence of psychic power? Hardly. Andrew is a magician. And along with Randi, he teaches students through the James Randi Educational Foundation how to identify illusion and test for trickery.
They're available to everyone.
In this case, Randi sets up an experiment that reveals the trick.
I'm going to ask Andrew to do it exactly the way he did it, with all of the gestures and such, but now it'll give it away. Watch. Rather gives it away, doesn't it? You notice the puff first, because it takes time for the air to go from his mouth to the top of the table. He's not blowing here, he's blowing at the table. As a matter of fact, step out of the way for a second, if you would, Andrew. Let me show you a technique that I use. I come up to it like this and say, you have to talk to the pencil. Pencils can understand, apparently. And you say to it, move, pencil, and it moves. And you're turned well away by the time the pencil moves. Think twice about these things before you accept them. The fact that someone can't solve magic tricks is not a defect of education, it's not a lack in education. It's a tribute to the skill of the performer who can misdirect your attention. Quick example. Now this is a bent nail. It's very plainly visible there in my hand. No question of it, it's there. Right? If I take this nail and place it in the other hand, place it in the other hand, you see very plainly where it must be. And yet, it's not.
Randi allowed us to see only what he wanted us to see. But what really happened here?
Now this is a bent nail, a metal nail. We can hear it. It's definitely there.
Randi drops the nail into his lap. Watch again.
Now this is a bent nail, right? If I take this nail and place it in the other hand, place it in the other hand, you see very plainly where it must be, and yet it's not. Now the misdirection on that, part of it was the fact that while my hand was empty, I reached up as if to push the nail in. I was pushing something into there that was not there from the very beginning. These are illusions. This is simple sleight of hand. Such simple sleight of hand, it's the first thing that the student of magic learns. It's a basic, it's a fundamental.
Using his knowledge of magic, Randi has spent the last 30 years investigating claims of the paranormal. He offers a $1 million reward to anyone who can display paranormal powers without using trickery.
I was born in Osaka, Japan.
Is this me?
Dr. Al Lowe is a candidate for the $1 million prize.
Massachusetts.
He claims to be able to read minds by measuring the strength in a person's hand.
I was born in Frankfurt, Germany.
Is this me?
In this experiment, he tries to predict which one of 4 cities is the test subject's actual birthplace.
I detect that you were born in Frankfurt, Germany.
That's correct. Correct.
Randi and the class take a closer look at Dr. Lowe's apparent success.
This fellow thinks that he is able to detect the truth of answers to simple questions by whether or not he can pull the fingers of the subject apart. It's just a simple claim. He believes it to be true, and we believe that he's quite sincere in his belief that he can do this. In this case, he happened to be correct. There was no trickery involved here whatsoever. What you saw was done completely above board. I frankly would look forward to some results that would be positive, significantly positive, and I'd have a new discovery on my hands.
Let's see what I can do.
So Randi sets up a more controlled experiment.
Resist me. Same strength, right?
This time, Dr. Lowe must detect what type of substance is secretly placed into Randi's other hand. It's either distilled water or an herbal extract called stevia.
Resist me. Distilled water.
Not even Randi knows the content of the vial. This is what's called a double-blind experiment.
Resist me. Distilled water. Resist me. Stevia.
The results?
Distilled water.
Dr. Lowe correctly identifies only 8 out of 20 tries. No better than random guessing.
He's showing only average results. He's not showing negative results. He's showing what we would expect by chance alone. As it is, I am not convinced that there's anything to this procedure.
Randi has investigated psychics, alternative healers, and even legendary creatures.
I think that we may be subjects of a hoax of some kind, a prank.
But he has yet to find any evidence of the paranormal.
We're quite willing to pay $1 million to any person who can provide evidence of a paranormal, occult, or supernatural event of any kind under proper observing conditions. But that's the rough part, under proper observing conditions. I don't make the rules. We get together with independent scientists and researchers, statisticians and such, who can design a test of the claims that are being made. So far, no one has ever passed the test.